Looks like we are live. Hey, everybody. So tonight we're going to talk about gatekeepers, those who look like us but don't necessarily speak for us. So from the Congressional Black Caucus to the entertainment industry and even local officials here, too many of our so-called representatives have learned to play the game. But at what cost to the people, us, do they claim to represent? So we initially listened to a clip from independent journalist Sabrina Salvati. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's an absolute great podcaster. She's known as Sabby Sab. Mona introduced her to me. So she's calling out the Congressional Black Caucus for their silence on none other than Israel and their deep, deep ties to AIPAC. Now, most of us don't really know about that. So who is AIPAC? Just a reminder, for anyone who's not familiar, AIPAC stands for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It's one of the most powerful lobbying groups in the country, and its goal is to make sure U.S. politicians support Israel's agenda. They don't, actually, they do that by raising and directing millions in campaign money. And that, my friends, that influence reaches deep into both of the major parties. It's going to be hot tonight, Mona.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
Yes, indeed. So I'm going to pull this down because I'm going to show that visual later, and we shall get going with our countdown to give folks some time to find us and join our live. So here's the countdown.
To the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Get to work.
Oh, let us get to work. All right. So we're going to start out with as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start out with a video of Sabrina Salvati, who is a Black journalist podcaster who puts out some really good videos. And we want to share that with you tonight because she's going to talk about the Black Caucus. And I really, really, really love it if everyone would just take a moment to just really listen to what she has to say. So I'm going to bring her up.
I have been warning people about Black politicians working, hand in hand with AIPAC, with Israel, while choosing to prioritize Israel and AIPAC and not prioritize the Black community. I have been trying to get people to pay attention, and specifically to the Congressional Black Caucus. The Congressional Black Caucus is not helping the Black community. The Congressional Black Caucus has been helping Israel. They've been helping AIPAC. They will help anybody but us, but they are bought and paid for by AIPAC. So once you understand this, and once you see this video, you will understand why nothing is getting done for the Black community. They're not passing any bills for the Black community. That so-called reparations bill that people keep asking Jim Clyburn about, which actually isn't real reparations, there is a reason why they are not moving on these pieces of legislation. They don't intend to. They exist there in Congress only for symbolic reasons and for you to think that you have representation when you do not. Friend of the show, Roger Meadows, sent this to me. This was on Phil Scott's show. I don't know if you guys follow Phil Scott. If not, you should check him out. We don't agree on everything, but we agree on enough. I want you to hear what AIPAC says here about the Black politicians that they not only recruit, but they also seek out. I warned you, they were looking for people not just in college, but also when they are in high school. They start early. Listen to what they say.
So I think you know that AIPAC is both a grassroots organization.
For us, why?
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why this video. Why I did that. Here we go.
And also a leadership empowerment organization. So a particular concern to us are not African Americans, but those African Americans.
Let me go back.
Let's go on and cue this up real quick. Let me go find the clip. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and cue this up. Listen closely.
So I think you know that AIPAC is both a grassroots organization and also a leadership empowerment organization. So a particular concern to us are not African Americans, but those African Americans that will be part of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Pause. So here is AIPAC letting you know that they're not really interested in what Black people need. They're not interested in the Black community. They're not interested in these African Americans. But what they're interested in is recruiting Black Americans that will be a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. Does anyone not find that to be problematic? They're not thinking about your needs. They ain't thinking about no damn reparations. They're not thinking about what the Black community needs. They're just thinking about recruiting Black people to be a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. Let's continue.
Those African Americans that will be governors, those African Americans that will be part of the cabinet of successive administrations. And we have been rather successful in identifying young, emerging political leaders, sometimes when they're in their teens, sometimes when they're on college campuses, sometimes when they're just getting into state politics, and sometimes when they first emerge as congressional candidates. AIPAC built a relationship with Barack Obama before he was a president, before he was a presidential candidate, before he was a U.S. senator. We built a relationship with him before he was in the Illinois State House.
Okay. Mona.
Wow. Is what, when you come to understand this, and I start understanding all of this stuff, maybe what was happening with the Black Caucus, what was happening with President Barack, and when it all came together, basically when it all came together for all of us on October the 7th, 2 years ago, when we really start understanding AIPAC.
Yes,
And
very
you could,
true.
and you could really see the line. And then, we just start diving in, doing the research. Wow. But, from the Congressional Black Caucus to entertainment industry and even our local officials, too many of our so-called state representatives have learned how to play the game.
Yeah, they really
And,
have.
and I don't know. We're going to have to figure out a way, because if they play the game, we lose. They're going to have to figure out how to play the game, and we win and they win.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in Israel or the Jews getting what they want when we aren't getting what we need. We ain't even
Yeah.
getting what we need, nevertheless, what we want. So I've said a couple of years ago that I wasn't voting for anybody who was taking money from AIPAC in particular.
I didn't even know about them a couple of years ago.
Well, we start learning. You remember Albert Fields, who really told us,
That's true.
he the one really gave us the
He is the one that gave us the insight on
yes.
that there's something funny in DC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we realized it trickled down to your state, to your local, and it's just not, and it all makes sense. And so we cannot be in politics. You cannot follow politics and the freaking light bulb don't go off. Now, I'm sure the light bulb have gone off on a lot of people and they dim the light themselves. But it's people like you and we can't do that.
Yeah.
We simply we can't, because we see how it has affected our community. When we hear people say, when you hear even the Democratic Party telling us, "Oh, you need to vote more. You need to be more engaged." No, we don't. No, we don't. We vote enough.
I don't know. So when I initially heard the clip, when you sent me that first clip, and then I found this second clip, it was like she is really like putting the spotlight on this.
Yeah.
And I would really encourage, especially Black voters, that you really have an understanding of the politicians and who they are taking money from. It's almost scary. But I love that she is calling out the Congressional Black Caucus, because we really feel like they're ours. Like, these are Black folks. Of course they are working for us.
Yeah.
And but their silence during this Israel Palestine war has been just amazing. And it's because of their ties to AIPAC. And when we scream out, hey, we can relate to them because of our experiences and what's going on with them, it's falling on deaf ears. Sure. And I think that is just crazy. So it's hard to listen to.
And it's kind of that video, when I first start watching them, and it's multiple ones. I got videos of Cori Bush. I'm talking to all of the AIPAC leaders. And it's very scary to see where we are headed and why we haven't, when we feel like we haven't moved since the 60s, where these people start coming in doing what they're doing.
Right.
But it's the truth. Sabrina laid out exactly how money from AIPAC can, how other lobby groups buy our silence. And that is what has happened. And we'll say, things aren't happening, and why I really go after the Black Caucus, because we put you in, and generally you might, I don't know if if you're running against, but even if you're running against somebody white who might look out for us, we tend to go for the Black person. And therefore we put you in there to represent us. And to do, and I don't even understand it. To me, because they live in the goddamn community too. It is not like they don't live in it. They don't have to drive on the same roads, look at the same stuff to get to their homes, but they're willing to.
Yeah, but you heard in the clip that this is a job for AIPAC.
Sure.
They are looking for our potential leaders as early as high school.
Yes.
And they
Yeah.
peg them, and then they start moving them through the system, paying for everything.
Yeah.
And then they put them before us and say, and here is your new leader. When they're not really our new leader. They chose them.
They
And
picked
I
them.
think that's what the contradiction is. That's the contradiction. We think it's our leader, but really it's not. And
Right.
we embrace them as if they are. And that's part of the whole psychology of what it is that they're doing. But we have to face this contradiction, in my opinion. We've got to face up to it and stop being blind about what is happening with our Black leadership. So how can Black elected officials, the very ones that are meant to safeguard our civil rights, and I think even some of the civil rights leaders of the past were probably inundated with AIPAC dollars where they couldn't really do what we are really asking for. But how can they turn a blind eye to the human rights violations abroad? That's what
You
we
got to
want
look
to
at
know.
somebody like, what's the guy who just died? John Lewis.
Yes, I'm thinking of John Lewis.
I'm thinking of John Lewis, and John Lewis, I believe, no way John Lewis could have done what he did under Martin Luther King and all of those people who fought the way they fought, and then get to Congress, get to the Senate, and sit there and settle for the bullshit that they have settled for, and then make slogans. Oh, good trouble. Dude, you ain't did shit since what you did.
But
That
it's
got
the
you there.
money. It's the money,
Absolutely.
and Black folks as a group, we don't have no money. And I
Yeah.
know that was a double negative, folks, but we ain't got no money. So our people have to look outside of us in order to not only get to Congress, but stay in Congress.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
I don't know.
we're gonna have to figure out a way, particularly now, it might be different, but those seats that they were running for were mostly safe. It was going to be a Black seat. We're seeing now in the Supreme Court, they're trying to change and redo the maps, but that's only their fault. Okay. So the
Yeah,
people,
they're
I don't think you need the money. We need money to run these campaigns.
yeah, we do.
It is not only for them to run these campaigns. These people have become millionaires overselling us out. I don't care about you becoming a millionaire as long as you're feeding the people too.
Yeah.
If ain't nobody eating but you, we got to be able to, and we see that here locally where we got white Democrats picking our leaders, picking our candidates. And it's a problem. And
I think it's become more of a problem for us, like you said, on October 7th, when Israel was attacked by Hamas, and our hearts went out to them. And the line was, well, they have a right to defend themselves. Okay. Notwithstanding the history that led up to that moment,
right.
I'm not even going to talk about that, but okay, let's see what they do to defend themselves. And now we're over a year, 2 years later?
2 years.
Right. So 2 years later, already, it's complete dehumanization.
Yes.
I mean, we know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So if we know what that feels like, why don't our leaders know what that feels like? And why are they not speaking up about what's happening in Palestine? And that's where the break came, where we started wondering, it's like, what does Israel have on everybody that it is causing folks in power in the United States to be totally silent? Black people who know what it feels like to be displaced and dismissed, just silent, except for two, and that was Bowman and
Cori
Bush.
Cori Bush, yes.
They spoke out, and what did Israel do? Taught them a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
and put millions and millions of dollars against them and gave it to their opponents, and both of them are out of Congress.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. Israel is very good, I think, at teaching them a lesson.
But we can't be saying we're going to let. I guess about somebody's last name, but these white people teach us, grown people, grown black people, a lesson. And that's been going around a lot since Charlie Kirk's death. White men's telling us what we can or shouldn't say.
Yeah.
I'm like, or they telling us how to feel about what we seeing with our own goddamn eyes, that y'all doing genocides over there, and we supposed to be okay with it. You have to ask yourself, why the black church, even the black church. I could remember maybe back in the 80s, could have been the early 90s, when the Black National Baptist Convention used to go to Israel. They leaders. And I was like, well, what is it about Israel? You know? And now that we're learning all the truth, how did you go over there and didn't see what was going on in Gaza? How do you go in there? Why would I believe that the Israels are the chosen people? And even if they are, what the hell I care? We care more about, and now I'm talking about black people, because I don't know what white people do and why they do it. But our black pastors go over there and wouldn't do the same if they was to go to Mecca.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that have
that's
gone
the
over.
craziest stuff to me, you know?
Yeah.
We're so.
I don't know what it is, but it's like we've all been brainwashed, and as a country, as an entire country, and black folks who want forward movement and depend on our politicians, watching them go silent on such an important issue has been mind-boggling for, I think, a lot of us. So, thank you, Albert, for bringing us into the light with regard to what is going on and why it doesn't make sense to us that our black people do not seem to understand what's happening.
I used to I like old movies, history movies, and I used to look at all of the Holocaust movies, anything in German. And so Saturday was my first Saturday during the day. I didn't have anything to do, so I said, I'm not going to look at anything.
I'm laughing. It's like, what? You had a Saturday to binge what? TV?
I had an event to go to Saturday night, but Saturday day, so Friday night, I stayed up late looking at movies. I said, I just want to decompress, and I wasn't going to look at anything, but I looked at this movie. I think it was on Amazon, and it was called Trembling in the Woods. And I said, oh, this is interesting. But it turns out it was a German picture. It was a Nazi picture. It was about the Jews. And I said, for all they went through, for all that they went through, and wanted people to have compassion for them, to turn around and do what they do to the Palestinians. It's just evil. I just can't understand it. And I used to always have a lot of compassion for the Jews, but now I'm like, yeah, you guys, because you're not even directing that hate that you have. Look like you want to constantly be going after the Germans, but they go after the least of them, you know?
Right.
And those people did really nothing to them. They came over and stole their homeland. And that's what they've been fighting for. And for our pastors and our leaders not to know, or that they are bought, and then they can't speak the truth to the youth. They can't even speak the truth. I mean, sometimes I think it's just a waste to go to church. I'm gonna probably look at a couple of church ceremonies from today just to see what are these people talking about to the congregation. That's
interesting. I don't know.
Telling them about hope, just getting them through the next week.
Well, the more we learn, the harder it is to learn about history. And I mean, beyond these shores, way back when. And the more we even learn about the Bible, and that there are books that are even left out. And then there was the slave Bible and all of these things that we're learning. It's becoming harder and harder to sit in church and accept what is being said. And I kind of feel like churches need to evolve where they are teaching truth. They're seeking it
Sure.
beyond the King James Version Bible. They are seeking a much deeper truth that they can feed to their congregations. I don't think white folks are going to do that, but Black folks need to really, really use their churches to inform the people. And I think that's what we're not doing, actually. But, you know, I think, to put it plainly, many of the politicians have become gatekeepers. That's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
We think there are politicians, but they are the gatekeepers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And to keep us silent, they're silent, we should be silent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing thing that I didn't realize they were so silent, because they'll try to say something here, try to say something there, but nothing that really moves the chains, right? So they hold the seats, I think, not well, I think they hold the seats, but not the conscience of the people. I don't think they're really thinking about, how can I make this happen? You know, Black people, African Americans, ADOS or FBA, they want reparations. And yes, there's some talk about a study, but nobody's saying, hell no, we don't want another study. That's what they ought to be saying, because that's what we're saying. That's what the people are saying.
Yeah.
So we sit in those positions.
We're study out. We're experts on this. We don't need a study. Even when you look at 568 here locally, right?
Yes.
The local thing. And Vieira, Councilman Vieira wasted the people time, basically, because he knew nothing was going to come of that. And I remember telling Connie,
we all actually knew nothing was going to
all do. And she says, well, you're going to be, on a Tuesday at 6:30. I work on Tuesdays. Usually I'm done. I'm not going to sit up here for that BS. No, because it's not going to go anywhere. And and they knew that, and they think that they could play with us like that, where he gets to come in, smile. I was there once when he was there. He's smiling, taking pictures. Like, this is what you think of us.
Yeah.
This is what you think of us. And we're going to have the people. The people are going to have to move different. And I'm talking about the people, the ones who feel the pain the most. Because the Black residents who think they're okay, just, Democrat, just going to vote blue no matter what. People like Angela Birdsong who say just vote blue, and the people that follow her, they're going to continue with, as I'm not going to say foolish, but they're going to continue as usual, right?
Yeah, but we're hoping that
people at the bottom are going to move different.
Yeah, we're hoping that we can talk to enough that they begin moving different, and they're not automatic, because both parties, and people used to say both parties are the same. Well, they're not the same, but neither are actually doing what Black people need to have their own advancement. And right now, neither party, including the Democrats, are able to stop us and other people losing their civil rights. And I think we need to pay attention to that the Democrats are not strong enough right now to actually put a stop to a rollback of everything we fought for. And the fighting was never within the Democratic Party, it was within the community. And I think the community really needs to realize that the strength is in us, not the politicians, especially now that you know that they sit in the positions because moneyed interests put them there, not necessarily us. Yes, we
Well,
voted, but
it's
it's money that put them there.
it's money that might have gotten them there, but it is people. It is the people who put them there, who get them across the finish line, because the people got the vote. The money can't vote. Now the money is able to get. Did you see these flyers that they
Yep.
sent out?
I saw them. I know what you're
That's
going to
what,
say.
that's what dark money, dirty money, AIPAC money, white people who are going to dictate how this election is ran. That's what money does for you.
Mhm.
But now,
I would
it's-
call it dirty money because you probably know where it came from. It's
Mhm.
not dark because you don't, I mean, we know where it came from. So it's actually dirty money meant to sully somebody's reputation, or in this case, Tom Scott's reputation.
Mhm. And when we see this kind of stuff at these local, they did that to Orlando Goose. I have not yet once seen or heard, and I could be incorrect, but I have not once seen or heard of any campaign like that going against a white person.
Hmm.
And we as Black people have to push back against this and say, that's going too far. You're going too far. And we have to find out who's behind it, who's supporting it, and we could never get behind a candidate.
Yeah. So to your point, what money does though is put enough information out there, whether it's billboards or TV ads or social media ads or whatever, and it's on such a recurring cycle that voters with limited information but will go vote, or maybe will not go vote, is doing that based on the information that they received, which was fueled or powered by money.
Money. Yeah.
So that's why the money is important, unless, and I call this my AOC example, unless you are dogged enough to go knock on every last one of those doors to unseat some old person that's been in the seat forever, which she did.
Yeah. And I mean, look, that's what's going to have to happen. We're going to have boots on the ground. You're going to have more engagement, because we could combat, I believe, the money issue.
Yeah. I think
it takes a lot of work now. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment, because it's so easy just to send out the mailers versus getting people to go one by one.
I agree with you, but it would take sort of like what MAGA did. I don't care what you say about my candidate. Doesn't matter how many ads you put out there.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what those ads say. I am going to vote for my candidate.
Yes.
I am stuck, and your money is not going to sway me one way or the other.
That's they didn't believe it. That's when
you beat the money. That's where you beat the money. Can Black people do that? That's the question.
No, my sister asked the question, have we had enough yet? And I say not quite. we haven't, we're not quite there yet. So we still gonna get, screwed a little bit more before it get better. And the Democratic Party will as well, because even though they're saying, look at what the Republicans are doing, you guys have not put anything in place to give us a reason to vote for this party.
Absolutely.
Other than, here's what you have on the right. You don't want that. So you have to come back over here. And we have to be able to figure out, is that are we trying to stop the bleeding? Or are we just trying to slow the bleeding down?
Well, actually,
I want to stop the bleeding. So that way we might have to stay over here a little bit. These people might have to reign for a little bit longer until these people are ready to give us what we want.
Wow. That's it's daunting, and I'm not going to say that it's scary, because it used to be scary to me, but it's not scary. So when people says, well, you're going to make it so that the Republicans win, the Republicans won. Wait,
Yeah.
wait,
And
they won
we're
the
not
presidency,
making.
they won the House, they won the Senate, and they have the Supreme Court. It
Mhm.
can't get any worse, because they have an agenda that they are moving forward really fast. And for us, it's pretty bad, and will get pretty bad based on what Project 2025 tells us, right?
Yeah.
So what do we have to lose to move over into an independent status, and then to look over at the Democrats to say, okay, let's move together, but here's what we want. And if we don't get it, it looks like we're going to move down this path of with Project 2025. But you know what? Our ancestors have been here before.
Sure.
You have not been here before, because you no longer are going to be considered a tool that they need to use anymore to keep Black people down. We'll all be down together.
Absolutely.
And we will figure our way out, because they're already seeing that. Well, why aren't the Black people going nuts about what's happening? Why aren't, well, because we've been here before. We understand oppression. You don't understand oppression. So that's a difference. We can make it better with you Democrats, but you are going to have to also listen to us in terms of what that better looks like. We no longer have to take whatever it is that you think that you want to give us or not give us for the votes that we put on the table. And if we are 24% of the voting electorate for Democrats, that's a really big chunk.
Absolutely. And we should be voting 24%. You know, I'd say that even here locally, if we're 18%, we should be getting 18% of that budget directed back into our district as well.
Yep.
Someone
But
said on Facebook,
go ahead.
some white woman said on Facebook, I don't know if it was last night or the night before, that District 5 isn't engaged. That's why we don't get anything. Well, you know, that's not true. And even if we
but
wasn't,
it is.
we pay our taxes.
But they're not engaged.
But listen, it's voting. I did something, and I'm gonna pull it up. I asked ChatGTP to tell me in 2019 how many registered voters there were in District 5 and how many registered voters from District 4, because she was from District 4, South Tampa. And they only voted for the mayor, mind you, 22%. And we voted 18%. So it's the same thing, because when she said that, because I can remember when I first moved into Tampa, we used to get this weekly, a monthly, I can't remember, weekly or monthly newsletter. And when it was time to vote, when the first election came up, none of these people voted. None of my neighbors even cared about voting. It's only a certain amount of white people who vote, because the lady told us that they don't vote because America works for them. It doesn't matter who's in office, right?
Yeah.
I can remember when we went to see Mr. Lois in the hospital. And we were in a room, and it was election. I was asking the nurses, all the people that was coming in and out the room. Now, I tell you no lie. You could ask. It was 4 of us. I think it was Candy, Kamitra, and somebody else. Some people didn't even know we had an election going on, and they were all white.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, they were all white. So I don't want to hear white women telling us what we aren't doing, because we are, and people have been voting forever, but most of the people get tired. Some have moved out. If we're voting constantly and the mayors aren't investing back into the community, and we have not known really how to hold these people accountable, so it's time to move different.
It is.
It is just simply time to move different.
True that. So I just think that if we follow the money, you know,
Mhm.
and if we can break down what Sabrina actually said, she said Jim Clyburn, for example, over $200,000 from AIPAC. And we're using AIPAC because they're probably the one that probably gives the most money
Yes.
to a lot of our Black politicians. Now they do that across the
I would have
board.
thought his would have been much higher. You said over.
But well, I'm just saying, just about $250,000. But if you look at this chart, and this is something we got from Albert, and all the black dots, can you see those black dots? All the black dots are people, Congress people that take money from AIPAC. The
Yeah.
blue dots are Democrats who do not take money. And the red dots right here, that little sliver down here at the bottom, are the Republicans who do not take money. But do you see how many politicians take money from AIPAC? Which means it's why anti-Semitism gets met with a hammer,
Yeah.
right? Somebody
Yeah.
calls you the N-word. It's like, okay, you got called the N-word, you know,
Yes,
that's
yes.
whatever. You don't get fired. But if you use anti-Semitic language, you are going to get fired. You're going, I mean, it's a kiss of death, right? Why is that? Because Israel told Congress you need to make it a felony practically. I didn't say it was a felony, y'all, but you need to make it a felony practically.
Yes.
Why is that? Because look at all those black dots. And Israel gets around $3.84 billion a year from us. That's around 3 million or so per month, right? Who votes for that package? All of them do. It's usually unanimous. So you might ask, why does the folks in the blue, Democrats, and this sliver of folks in the red, why are they voting for Israel policies, what have you? Because Israel will put a whole lot of money behind their opponent and get them out. Ask Jamal Bowman and ask Cori Bush. That's what happened. And that's the example that they have that is the kiss of death. I understand that Israel also does a lot of unalivings, and I'm saying that on purpose. They do a lot of unaliving.
That's a new word that came up, and I was like, huh, I noticed a lot of people use that.
Yes.
Is it against, to say the other word, on Facebook and YouTube and all these other platforms?
Everybody says is moving toward unalive, and that's
I
on
don't like that.
Because death will get you killed, death, murdered, will get assassinated, will get you flagged and maybe thrown off or something. Yeah, that does happen.
Okay.
I don't like it either. And sometimes I get lazy and just say the word.
Yeah.
So far I've been okay, but this is important for us to know that a lot of those black dots, which are AIPAC backed senators in the House, and not senators, senators and House representatives, are definitely, and this is the House, are definitely Israel first.
Sure. You heard what Ted
I didn't
Cruz
say
said.
black people first. I didn't even say white people first or America first. We're saying Israel first.
And that's just the strangest thing. Listen, you seen that interview with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz.
Oh, yes.
And Ted Cruz was so adamant about it. And he got so frustrated. And I'm like saying to myself, what in the world is going on here? Israel is such a small country. A small country.
Yeah.
And have that kind of power around the world. How is this possible?
I don't know. I don't know how it's possible.
That's
But
crazy.
I have some speculation, as many people do, and a lot of it, you can bring in the Epstein thing with all of that.
Yes.
But there's a lot of speculation as to how they were able to garner so much power over heads of states around the world and of the United States Congress, who have the purse strings, who hold the purse strings, and who then pretty much we pay for everything. I mean, I think we said a while ago that they go to school for free. They have they get very low interest loans. They get health care, all of that. And we are footing the bill, supplementing their lifestyle. And of course their military is
and we funding all their wars. And when I start digging, realize that this guy now who's been around for a long, he is the one that convinced Bush to go in Iraq and start this war.
I heard that.
That's like, this guy has been around for a long, and for us to be a part of such evilness, because he is evil.
But again, they have groomed our Black politicians as early in some cases as in you heard them say they chose Barack Obama when he was a high schooler, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing to me, because
and it can be kind of flattering in the beginning when you're young and you got people looking at
they're good at the flattery. They're wonderful at the flattery.
Yes. You got people looking after you, throwing you money. And I try to tell my daughter, our young people. My mother used to say this to us all the time.
Yeah.
Don't worry about money. Do what you love. Money will follow you. Don't worry about the money.
Yep.
And I have, when we want so much so quick, and we're willing to sell our soul, we could just take, I'm just going to say CK for an example. When those people start giving you all of this stuff, what did you think was going to happen when you want to try to decide to start thinking for yourself? It's not going to be allowed.
You don't get to think for yourself, and they all learn that. So AIPAC raised $4.6 million for the Congressional Black Caucus members in one election cycle.
Really?
And then in another cycle, they raised $3.5 million for the Democratic candidates overall. That is real money. That
you say AIPAC raised
that buys silence.
Almost $5 million for the Black Caucus?
For the Congressional for the Congressional
Black Caucus.
Yes.
And I can remember our local House of Representatives, maybe a couple of years ago, Israel took them, AIPAC took them all to Israel.
Yeah. Yep. We can go to Israel. Exciting. It's exciting.
And then we start voting against. Go on the goddamn trip. Go over there and look. But you got to be able to say, no, I'm not going to vote for this. It's not.
That's the hard part, though.
It's not hard. It's not good for my community.
But it's difficult for them to do that, especially when everybody else around them, you saw those numbers, when everybody else around them is going along with it. You've got the presidents, you've got everybody in the pockets of AIPAC. And if they wanted to, even if they wanted to break away, there was a penalty for that. It could cost you your life. And I'm not saying that's what happened to the CK, but I'm going to
That's definitely what's happened to him.
I'm not going to say that's what happened to him, but we all know what his conversations were in that last few months. It's in email and not text messaging and what have you. But even with the Congress people, they realized that they could drop on a dime their family members. And then you also have the fact that I want to stay in this seat. So to do that, I'm going to have to keep quiet, stay silent.
But that's not going to work anymore, because I hope all of the podcasts and people like you and I, we're going to call these people out. And after this election come Tuesday, we really need to start focusing on who we're going to get behind, who we're going to support. All these people who have sat there for so long.
Mhm.
And I think we said we want to grade the politician.
Yeah.
I think that's how we need to do it moving
Yeah.
forward. And because otherwise,
Mhm.
what's the reason in voting?
Well, ask one of the great questions right now to ask a politician is, are you taking money from AIPAC? I would say with Kathy Castor representing our representative in the House, are you taking money from AIPAC?
And that's a definitely yes.
Yes, it is.
It
Yes, it
is.
is. But we do have to ask the question, and we do have to say, and I've heard of some politicians actually writing a check and giving money back to AIPAC. They're trying to, for those who do have a conscience, they are trying to divest themselves or to get away from the stigma of AIPAC, which it is fast becoming,
Yes.
because people like us, like you said, are on podcasts calling them out.
Yeah, exposing it. And you know, the average person wouldn't know what was going on because, you know, till we started digging, we didn't know either.
Right,
And
but they can look it up, openstreet.com.
yes.
You can get all of that information. It's on openstreet.com. And I would suggest that folks do, and be sure that when you are in, I watched a white people in a town hall, and the poor guy, I don't know who the representative was, but he wanted to cry. I could tell he wanted to cry, because they kept asking him about AIPAC. They kept asking him, everyone that got up, and he says, you know, I've answered that. I'm not going to answer it anymore. The next person get up, they asked the question about AIPAC. And it was miserable for him. But I loved that. I applauded that. I said, masterclass in really forcing them to reckon with their relationship with AIPAC, the fact that they are Israel first. They are truly Israel first. Now, with Black folks, they are Israel first. Then they are something else, because they never quite get around to Black folks.
Yeah,
they never really get around to us, and we keep losing stuff, right?
Yeah,
because we can't even make deals in the back rooms of getting the Voting Rights Act passed, right? We can't seem to get significant things passed because we are that weak. And why are we so weak? Because people are holding our strings, they're puppets.
And look, I think, you know,
not ours.
All that money, you know, it's not small change. And when they receiving that type of money, that's control. It means someone else is setting the agenda. Someone else is deciding what issues are, you know, safe to speak on. When we had Obama, he had time to make the voting right laws safe and permanent. So did Biden.
But it kind of makes you understand that
they leave it open.
They
leave it open because they need these things for them to have, for us to fight up when it's time to. And look, we're realizing now we're tired of fighting over the same stuff. I want new things that I want. I want things done in 4 years.
And you got a timeline on that too.
Yeah, your first 4 years. If you go to Tallahassee, if you're local, 2 years. Now, we really can't expect our politicians here in Tallahassee, because we're never going to have the majority. Not that we're going to never have it, but it's going to be a long time before we have it.
Well, they're going to have to think long and hard about it. You know, that the voters are going to start challenging them, because if you don't play ball, ask Cori Bush, ask Jamal Bowman, you're going to get sacked. They're going to put a lot of money against you. You play ball, the money goes to you. You don't play ball, it goes against you. And that's exactly what happened to both of them because they were outspoken about Palestine.
Well, look, we usually I have one or two people who want to hold the line, but it's up to the voters to make sure all of our politicians hold the line. Do they
Yeah,
have enough money to go after everybody? Mm-mm.
that's interesting. That's interesting. So some of the going after, yes. Okay.
She said hello to mom.
You're saying hello to everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, to everybody. All right. Somebody thought she was just saying hello to you, but I said it's a lot more than Mona. So, well, at least eventually it will be a lot more than Mona. But for the most part, it's not just AIPAC, though. That's the
Oh,
thing.
sure.
You're talking about AIPAC, but you're talking about corporate donors. You're talking about pharmaceutical lobbies, Wall
Yeah.
Street PACs, and defense contractors, developers. They all play the same game. The players change, but the system stays pretty much the same. Money in, silence out.
Yeah. But look, and you probably have to go these lobbyists. You're gonna have to take money from these people.
You got to.
I don't really have a problem with that, but
Okay.
it's when you taking the money from a lobbyist to vote against something that you know going to harm the people, then that's when I have a problem. When you know it's going to harm the people, when you know it's not in the best interest of the people. Now, let's say you might not find out that whatever you're doing is going to harm the people. Almost 10, 20 years later, you moved on. But still, when you have no morals, no conscience, then that's a problem. And those are the people we have to, vote against.
Yeah. When I'm writing you that $50 check, you're saying, yeah, I'm going to do that. And it's no big deal. But if I'm writing you a $50 million check, that's quid pro quo. I want something. I
Sure.
want something, definitely. So can they get into the seat and then do the will of the people with that 50 million and still do the will of the people? History has pretty much said no so far, but maybe if I told you that I'm going to really do the will of the people, would you still give me the check? And I'm talking Democrats and Republicans. I'm talking
Sure.
Bill Gates, all of them.
Sure.
Do I still get that check if I cannot make that whatever you need to do your next project happen? No.
See, like, even the simple thing with these corporations where our senators and our state leaders will not raise minimum wage. That's a problem to me because the corporations don't want to pay. And
there you go. That's it. Same thing with pharmaceuticals.
That's the problem. When everything is going up and you know that people can't live off whatever the minimum wage is now.
Yeah.
And yet we still voting for these people.
We
need to do one or two things. And now I'm talking about people as a whole, not just Black people. Either saying we're going to sit out 1 year and don't vote till we get what we want, or put the people in that we want that's going to do the will of the people.
And that's kind of like what we would be saying to the Democrats. It's like put somebody in that is going to pay attention to the issues.
Yeah.
And put the issues out there for you. We're not going to be like, oh yeah, you should know. Here's what we're talking about. You find a candidate that can carry that water. We're in. We're together.
Yeah. Not just somebody who our local Black caucus get behind or ruthless get behind, and they hadn't even vetted, or they just say, hey, this is who we getting behind. This is who we want, the Democrat. Bullshit. Not anymore.
Absolutely not anymore. But, we've seen this before. It's not new. So there's always been chosen representatives, right? We didn't know it. But there's
Right.
always been those chosen representatives, Black representatives, that were given access and money as long as they don't disrupt the larger power structure. And we think we're choosing them, but we're really not choosing them.
Exactly. I don't think we really get to choose. They choose. And it's the same system that elevate certain voices, the so-called safe ones, while silencing radical or the most honest. And we tend to go, when I look at, even here locally, when I really look back over this, everything Connie Burton have said and done, and the majority of the people don't want to get behind her, but will get behind someone who really don't give a shit about the community as a whole, really isn't pushing our agenda. They're really pushing our oppressors' agenda. And it's not just in politics. It's the formally used in our music, the media, and academic too.
That's right.
It is just crazy.
You don't
We are our worst enemy sometimes.
You don't play their game by their rules.
Mhm.
You don't get to play.
Right.
You get kicked out, and that has happened in all of those genres as well.
Sure.
But Bakari Sellers, and he was a former House member, right?
Yes.
U.S. House member.
And I used to love him too. I was like, God damn it! When I find out this stuff, I'm not gonna like any of these people.
You're just not gonna like anybody. That's true. That's true.
Right.
But
I used to really like him, follow him. Oh my God.
He was questioning the AIPAC at the beginning.
Yeah.
He did that pilgrimage, I'm going to call it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, everything's cool, and I'm getting along with my brothers, of another party, if you will. Everything's good. We all are common around AIPAC."
Mhm.
And years later, he helped fund efforts to remove the only Palestinian woman in Congress.
Yep. Yep.
That's
That was
not growth, that's alignment with power. So he got in there and he figured out where the money was, and then he aligned himself with the power. Come on now.
Yeah. I remember when that, and I see him. I used to like, Lamar Hill.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I listened to him as well.
yeah. And they're so different. Dang, Bakari. And he's now have joined Native Land Podcast.
He has. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I watched him on occasion, but I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. But look, Sabby Sab, these are the same figures get on the stage with AIPAC leadership and praise bipartisan unity while our own community suffers. How is that possible? How, when they say stuff like, and even you have to think about when Biden was in office and he kept saying, "Oh, I'm trying to reach across the aisle," but when the Republicans in, they don't give a shit about reaching across the aisle.
Right.
That's just the craziest thing to me.
Yeah.
And to pass the George Floyd bill, I wonder if AIPAC was against that.
I don't know that AIPAC was against it or for it, because they're just really for their own policies and making sure they get what they want. But they're not the only players, right? You still have the Heritage Foundation, and you have all of these other organizations.
Yeah.
And you have wealthy people who want to do projects that will likely harm the people locally where they want to do the project. You've got all of these things happening where the politician has to maneuver around because they've accepted money from them, perhaps. But Israel is the most powerful. That's the thing. They're the most powerful. So when Israel barks, they listen, they jump and they listen, all of them.
And that's kind of strange, because Israel, I understand, is maybe the size of a small state here.
Yeah.
Okay? And and we can't side with Israel aggression and still claim to stand for justice at home. We can't.
Right.
I don't understand how we do that.
Yeah. It's kind of like
I don't understand how the black pastors do that.
you're saying they're so little and we're so big. How is it?
Well, I'm saying Israel is the side of, let's say, Oklahoma, a state, and we are the whole United States. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they're bossing us around, whipping these white men around like they're little bitches or something, you know.
Right.
And
So
these
what
little
So what do I need to do to bring you under my power? Well, how do I overpower you? I set you up in a way that you cannot refuse unless I expose what it is that you're trying to hide. I know things. You know why? Because I set you up and you fell for it. And so I think that's why we'll never see the Epstein list, to be honest with you.
Sure. You
It's,
see just what happened. You saw just what happened with the prince.
Yeah, you thought you were just going to go to this island and have a little good time and come on back. But cameras, one of the young ladies said, cameras were everywhere. They have footage of everything. The FBI, they have footage of everything, everybody and everything, because cameras were everywhere on purpose. Come on now. Epstein, is that a Jewish name? Yes, it is.
Yes,
it is.
I'm learning those. Yeah. Wow. Stupid little men's.
So I think what's worse is that even some white liberals won't even call them out. The black folks that are so you've got black folks that side with Israel and won't call out the genocide, but even the white liberals won't even call them out.
Right.
They see it, but they're afraid to challenge black officials tied to AIPAC because they fear they're going to be labeled a racist. And that silence protects the whole corruption that we just talked about. The silence protects it.
Well,
Israel is little, but it is smart, very smart.
Yeah, and powerful. I just, for the life of me, I'm still doing a lot of research on it. But look, Sabrina clip really exposed is how the struggle for civil rights get disconnected from the global fight for human rights.
Very disconnected.
Mm-hmm. And how it's becoming a little bit more understandable to me when John Lewis and all these people, Mike Sean Waters, who have sat in Congress for all these years. And when I say that he's been in Congress for 30 years, Jim Cole, and you come back home to one of the poorest districts. How?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
So
it's controlled that way.
Yeah, Kevin Maurice Beckham. Hey, Kevin, he says America is dependent on Israel for our Middle Eastern wars.
Mm.
That's why Israel. That's why they're right there in the midst of everything, and so America does depend on them to have access in that region.
Well, America wants what those Middle Eastern have. They oil, they minerals, and Israel just want to dominate all of it.
Israel has its own agenda. That is very true. And people are finding out more and more about how they want to dominate, but also use America's warfare and soldiers to make that happen.
Because if you notice, when you really think about it, Israel never pick a fight with a European country that I could think of. It's always the Middle East.
Because that's what they want to do. They want to dominate the region.
They want to get rid of
they do have now it's drawn out what they want to do. So they do have a goal to use America's might to, it's kind of like me being little guy that I got this bodyguard and I bullied him through secrets that I know about him. So he's going to be my protector. And I go and pick fights. I just go and pick fights, right? Because I know I got this guy who's going to jump in and save me. And that's what we've become with regard to our relationship with Israel. So good point. So I think because, when you say Black Lives Matter, but stay silent when Palestinian lives are being destroyed, it just doesn't make any sense. That's selective morality. That makes absolutely no sense. So you can't be Black and actually be okay with what's happening. And, some people say, well, Palestinians really didn't like you guys anyway. They were racist against you. Well, maybe that's true. I'm not doubting that. But what I am going to say is one thing Black people know is we know oppression and we know inhumane treatment. And I don't care who it is, we are not for that. So whether you like us or not, because we think the, people around the world aren't crazy about Black folks, but whether you like us or not, we just cannot support immoral behavior or immoral treatment of another people. And that's that. So I'm not going to get into Palestine really didn't like y'all and the Ukrainians really felt this way about y'all as well. That's not leadership. The fact that we can say Black Lives Matter, our leaders, and then at the same time not speak up about what's happening in Palestine.
Generally, our community, our culture, we have a soul. And we've always stood with the oppressed people worldwide, from South Africa to the Palestinians, because we understand what oppression looks like. We understand what these parents are going through, seeing their children bombed. We understand that. And for our Black leaders, particularly our Black preachers, who can justify, and I don't know if they're justifying, but they are still siding with Israel and saying they have a right. And people do have a right to protect themselves. But this has been a freaking overkill. They have destroyed.
It's an overkill.
They have fled in that country, and as if these people, I'm not going to even say animals, because I don't even think the people would do that to animals. What they have done and been allowed to do.
Yeah, but if you look at the parallel with slavery, I think white people could only do what they did during slavery by dehumanizing Black people, and we became chattel chattel slaves. But they had to dehumanize us, and that's to take away the humanness of who we are. They knew better, but at the same time, it didn't serve their needs. The same thing is going on in Palestine.
But the difference, I think, how much they are killing the people. They couldn't kill us. They had to keep us. We had to keep reproducing to keep
exactly.
doing.
We were here for a reason. We got here
because
we got here for a reason.
We've been long gone too. But the way that they are killing and slaughtering, just bombing these people.
Okay, but here's the difference, and then let me just start to interrupt. But for us, they wanted our labor, so they couldn't kill us, right? And they hated the fact that they had to take care of us to the extent that they did, but they did it to such an extent that it made us very dependent on them, and that was by design as well, right?
Yes.
But for Palestine, they don't want the labor, they want the land.
Yes.
Right. Just like with the Indians.
They want the people gone.
With the Indians, they wanted the labor, but that didn't work. So they did want the land. And now here we are again. You've got white, powerful people deciding they want the land. That's
Yes.
what we're doing.
Yes. Damn it. All around the world, they just have gone and stole and taken what they want.
Yeah. But this history goes back 1,000 years. And I can't wait to get into Queen Mother Brenda Allen's classes that teaches really the history that predates I don't know, predates definitely this land, but takes us all the way
We
back.
have a class tomorrow, Jeanette.
I know it's on my calendar. You reminded me about that the other day, and I put it on my calendar, and I know exactly where to go. So I'm going.
Oh, wait. It's in person. It's because I want to do it on YouTube.
I don't know.
Or
I
Zoom
thought
or
it was in
something.
person over there at the at that center where they did the
Yeah,
festival.
I want to do it on Zoom.
Well, I don't know. But either way, I'm there because I'm very interested in what our children need to start learning.
Absolutely.
And I think she opens the door beyond us getting to these shores.
Yeah.
And I think that more children, not just Black, but white children ought to know as well what happened that Black and brown people were the scientists and the mathematicians and the created civilization, basically. And around the same time that was happening, Europe was running around like savages in wars with each other.
Mhm.
So I can tell that story, but they won't believe that until you actually go through the history and really have an understanding of how we all got here. But, you know, we got here because we stopped selecting our political figures. We don't really select them. We allowed money interests to do it for us. Whether it's AIPAC or the NRA, Big Pharma, the fossil fuel company or lobby or corporate PACs, they all have one goal: to fund campaigns that protect their interests and not ours. And can you think of any Black large company or corporation that has a lobbying capacity that actually protects our interests?
Mm-mm.
Right.
No, and it is some small ones, but no,
We don't
nothing like.
That's right.
Like NRA, Big Pharma. No, none of those things.
None of that. None of it.
No. Well, look, Sabby said it best. They pick our heroes. They pick who our heroes going to be. And that's just not good on our part.
Right.
They decide who they're comfortable with. Because when we did a huge misservice by not really standing behind Malcolm alongside Martin.
I agree with that, actually.
We did a big service, and even when they decide, even still, white America is afraid of the Muslims. They're afraid of Malcolm. They're afraid of because these people haven't done no harm, haven't killed anybody that I know of, you know of, they know of. But yet still they don't want us to really recognize, and that's probably moving forward who we're going to need to get behind.
Yeah.
You know, they decide which face will represent Black America. Like the guy said in the video early, they picked Barack Obama.
They did.
We didn't know who he was.
No.
They picked Kamala Harris.
I thought I picked him, to be honest with you. In
And
2004, when
people was mad because I was telling you, like, yeah, I'm not interested in that woman. She didn't do a good term when she was running. But the fact that she got selected, then of course we had to go with her because we was pushing back against Project 2025, and you know, here we are where we at now. And even Cory Booker, this guy, everybody just loved him, man. I was like, you could tell he was an op. I mean, he goes, get an apartment, running for mayor. He wants to live in this inner city. Dude, he's so far removed.
He is.
He's so far removed. He got to go.
He does have he has that black story.
Too.
Yeah, he likes to tell that black story about his parents moving on up, getting a house in a white neighborhood, couldn't get it. So he got a white friend to come in and get the house, and that's how they moved into the neighborhood. So that's his story. Everybody knows his story. He tells it all the time. So that gives him his black bona fides. But what you just mentioned, Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, what they both have in common is they're not ADOS and they're not FBA.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if they are picking our leaders, we need to notice what kind of leaders are they picking to represent the Black community, especially with the Black community really focused around reparations. That's not going to come from somebody that's coming from a background that does not represent descendants of slaves, if you will. And that's both of them. Cory Booker is, and I'm not saying that he's like Clarence Thomas, but he's like Clarence Thomas, but the Democrat version of a Clarence Thomas. He has figured out how to go along to get along and make sure that the white people are extremely comfortable with his presence.
I'm gonna have to show you. I don't know if I sent it to you, a video of him with the Jews earlier on, and he's just all hugged up under the guy, and I'm like, I don't see a real brother here, you know. And and when they pre-select certain polish and present our champions to us, that ain't democracy.
It's not.
That ain't. And when I think about, when I was looking at the Black Caucus, when I was just thinking about this to myself, that half of those people that's in the Black Caucus, they're first generational Americans.
Yeah.
These people really don't know how to fight, so they're not going to do the fighting that we want. They're not interested in
Exactly it. They're not.
Because they want you to say, they want you to move on. They look at the white man's agenda, and particularly when they come in from Africa, because in the beginning, I used to hear a lot of my African friends, they used to like Elon Musk. So I was like, y'all got to be kidding me. And they did. Now they don't. And I was like, how in the world y'all liking Elon Musk? And they thought he was doing good.
Yeah, but black women, we know, we can smell it. Other people can't smell it. They don't have that sixth sense that allows them to detect bullshit.
Right.
That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No bullshit. Yeah. We can smell it a mile away. And this is why I'm almost going to say, I think in the Black Caucus, and particularly whoever's going to lead it, it needs to be an ADOS. It just does.
It absolutely needs to be an ADOS. And, you know, even with the Supreme Court appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson, that's a good start. But she's one of, two people? There's no power in that. And yes, she has some pretty strong arguments, but she's a lone ranger up there. Absolutely. And you can't have one of us, ADOS, trying to, fix the entire world, because that Supreme Court is pretty much stacked against us.
Yeah.
So the real question is, who speaks for us, right? If the Black people that we're looking at really are not speaking for us, that's the question that I would like for every African American to really ponder. Because this isn't about tearing down the CBC. So don't think that's what we're doing. It's about accountability. It's about looking at Black politicians in a whole new light. And when we do support someone going forward, that we are asking the right questions. So if you carry the title Black leader, then your decisions have to reflect the people, not your donors. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Exactly. We got to stop confusing access because we think, oh, we know this person with
We
our
like
state,
this person.
representation. Just because someone looked like us doesn't mean they're fighting for us.
Mhm.
And
Very
I
important.
can almost guarantee when they look
Too polished? What?
too polished, they ain't gonna fight for us.
They're
And
not gonna fight for
they
us.
can easily be manipulated.
That's true for new ones that new people that burst on the scene, and you look at their backgrounds, their training, what have you, but the white society is embracing them.
Uh-huh.
Oh Lord, beware, beware, because you said easily manipulated. I think that is something that we need to pay attention to too. We have to be smart. You know,
Yeah.
you like to say that we're not mature voters.
Mhm.
We have to get mature and begin selecting who will represent us. And we have to start asking new questions at election time, not the same old questions. Throw them in the garbage can. Throw them in the garbage can. Who funds their campaigns? That's your number one. Who is funding your campaign? If they don't answer it, they want to, evade the question. Keep asking the question. Who is funding your campaign? Because that's going to tell you who their allegiance is to. And if they do have money from X person or AIPAC or whatever, you got to ask, well, what is it that they expect from you? Because here's what we expect. And how will you prioritize that? Who are they silent about? Money buys silence.
Sure.
You can pay me a lot of money, I'm going to be quiet.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And who benefits? Who actually will benefit from their votes? And those are things that we have to just keep it simple, keep it straight. And if every Black person across the country are asking these three questions, it's going to put a lot of pressure. I saw a white group last week ask a white politician, and they kept asking one after the other, even though he visibly and said, stop asking me this question. They kept asking him the same questions over and over, and he could not handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, people are waking up, and generally we wake up a little too late, but it is now time that we wake up. We start voting for our best interests. We start peaking, because if they're being picked for us by lobbyists, whoever, corporations, or political elites, then we know they're not leading for us. We know
Right.
that, and we have a whole playbook. We have examples of past. What is the guy name in Atlanta that they encourage everybody who's the preacher to get behind? And I want to really do some research on him to see
Warnock.
Yes,
Warnock.
Warnock. How he's doing and what he was doing, because they picked him.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's the key. And look them up, folks. You'll be surprised at some of the folks that you are, Black and white. You'll be surprised at some of the folks who you think, they're on our side, they're our politicians. If they're taking money from Israel, in this case, it is Israel first. Israel will get that $3 million per month, and it will be a unanimous vote across the board, even for those who are not taking AIPAC money, because now they're afraid that if they don't vote for Israel, Israel's going to primary them, attack them. And it has worked in the past. So Israel is that powerful. We have to start letting our people know that we are with them only if they put Americans first. And for Black Americans first. All right.
Sure.
So find out. We already said Kathy Castor is taking money from AIPAC. Clyburn taking money from AIPAC.
The thing about her, you can't even find anybody who's going to run against her. But maybe if we start talking about it earlier, and really at this point, even if it's a Republican, but it has to be the right Republican.
Well, even if you do, so let's say somebody is taking AIPAC money and says, okay, well, let's sit down and talk about Black issues and what we really are looking for in someone who represents us. And then we're going to be watching as to whether or not you are going to represent us. And we don't want these small little gestures, because that's part of the what do you call it? Part of the manipulation. That's not the word I want to use, but it's part of the way they manipulate us. You get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that, but you don't get that real thing, especially that thing that's going to cost a whole lot of money. And they don't want to give you that real thing, because if they put the real thing out there, other folks are going to shun them. And it's going to be bad for them if they really put Black people first. So white people are not going to put you first, but Black people are not going to put you first, because it becomes the kiss of death for their reelection.
Mm-hmm. And it's generally not anything that they do for the mass. If it's always one individual, particularly with Kathy Castor. Well, look,
then becomes the gatekeeper, and then they become the gatekeeper too.
And they're the gatekeepers. Yeah, they take care of the gatekeepers. But look, the truth is, liberation doesn't come from the gatekeeper. It comes from those willing to lose their seat to tell the truth, to fight for the people. And those are the people we got to get behind.
Yep, those are the people
that just want to be seat warmers, play it safe. It's going to be a problem moving forward.
But one of the best things we can do right now is look at people who are running local. You've got the election coming up, the runoff election coming up. You've got the mayor's race that will be coming up after that. You've got others, I think all of the council seats that will be open in 15 months. So it is a matter of time for Black folks here locally to begin asking the right questions and coalescing behind candidates who are going to actually do work for them, and not necessarily for the biggest funder.
Sure.
So that's the heart of this conversation. Black representation must mean more than photo ops at church visits and polished speeches. It must mean moral courage. That's what we're looking for in our politicians.
And really, we need to have maybe particularly white politicians stop coming up in our churches doing that to us. I mean, it does something to me.
You guys stop coming up in our churches. Before we leave, though, I gotta read some of these, because I'm like really not good at that. Thank you so much, ES3. I'm going to say ES cubed. Great conversation, he says. Anthony Brown says, let me see if I can play that. You see that?
Anthony Brown said it.
No. All right, so I'm bad at this right here, but he says, when are Black folks going to identify leadership and fund and support themselves regardless of political party? That's me being really bad at what I'm doing, guys. Real good conversation. We are sadly a captured electorate. Wow. We are.
Mm-hmm.
We are captured. Listen to that.
We are.
Lack of political education, to your point of we're so immature about voting. And so that's a real good point. Past behavior is usually a good indicator of future behavior. Unfortunately, true.
And guess what? They know that.
Change it.
Huh? They know we're captured. They know that. They know we're captured. But we're going to have to. We could really show them this Tuesday and next year. We could really show them that we're moving different.
In the runoff election this Tuesday?
We could show them, we could start by this Tuesday, and then in the 2028 election.
All right. So on the October 28th, for those who are listening, there is a runoff election here in Tampa for the Tampa City Council District 5 seat. We have two candidates, Bishop Thomas Scott, who is the veteran. He's been here before. They are fulfilling a 15-month seat, they're fulfilling this seat for 15 months to finish out the late councilwoman, Gwen Henderson's seat. 15 months. So we need somebody who can hit the ground running, is what I would say. His opponent is Nia Young, a newcomer on the scene, and is really moving and shaking these days. So we will see on Tuesday who prevails.
Yes.
Get out and vote, people, in District 5.
Look, early voting is now over. It's probably what, 7 o'clock?
Yep, it's 7:30. It is over. It finished at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, no voting, and then
Tuesday you have to go to your voting precinct.
Absolutely. All right. That is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, and like us on Facebook. Be sure to like us on Facebook. We are Black Independents. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Black Independents. We're trying to build a community of 500. We do have merchandise. Can you show that shirt you're wearing? We do have merchandise that we are selling so that we can self-fund, and we've got mugs, and Christmas is coming up. Buy Black.
You can buy our mugs for your parents, grandparents, or a teacher, and give them as stocking stuffers.
All right.
And what I like about this mug here, it really keeps like I'm drinking ice water tonight. And dang, it's still really nice and cold.
Nice. So that's all I have, guys.
Yeah, me too. Look, stay tuned, family. We'll keep unpacking this and shining the light where others might stay quiet. After Tuesday, we will be talking politics all the way to the election.
Okay.
All right.
Ciao.
Good night.
I didn't do that right.